Everybody, Dan Kuypers. He's the Dan is the senior catalog director, and he's a music supervisor. Senior director, music supervisor, and Cobra commander of the Music Dealers catalog. Dan brings a wealth of experience from his 10 years as owner GM of EV Productions, a highly respected Chicago indie label, distribution, and studio with over 50 releases to date. You were asking about Chicago labels. You have one sitting in front of you. He has worked on Coke, Kellogg's, Corona, Bud Light, True Blood, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Burn Notice, and more. Dan is a huge White Sox fan, lists pickles as his favorite food, and attended Knox College and Emerson College, where he studied creative writing. A little bit about Music Dealers. musicdealers.com is a full-service global music licensing website that connects independent artists and music producers to big-name clients and brands. Headquarters in Chicago, right around the corner from you. Isn't that great? New York, Los Angeles, London. Staff includes music licensing and publishing veterans with 50-plus years of combined experience, qualified and musically literate in-house cataloging experts. Team of A&R reps that work around the clock to make sure your music gets heard. In the last year alone, Music Dealers has connected hundreds of music makers to music buyers and put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the pockets of independent artists. Now that's music business, okay? Quick analogy. I heard that some guy went to Picasso in his suite. You know, he was working on a piece, and you know, he had it up on the wall, and it's just all over the place. It just looked like somebody threw up on the canvas, right? Just completely destroyed. And his buddy said, Picasso, what does that represent to you? And you know what Picasso said? $250,000. That's a great artist. What I've done is they are aware, and I think I told you, this book, On the Record, Gayasuri, I told you about it? Or have I told you about it? Or was that the other class?
Yeah.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do, if it's okay, is I'm going to ask these questions in an interview kind of style with Dan. And Dan can share with you his insight and his experience, and we'll try and leave some room toward the very end of our session, which will be wrapping up in about 45 minutes, for questions that you have, okay? Everybody still good? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so here we go. My last question for you on this is number 12. What 10 things could be helpful? You don't have to say 10. What 10 things could be helpful to someone breaking into the business?
We had talked about a few of these. These are my words of wisdom, I suppose. My nuggets. Patience. Number one. You could all go get a tattoo tonight. You should tattoo patience on the side of your arm and look at it every day. I think that's very, very important because it's going to be tested a lot. If you stick with this or really any career that you have, you're going to be tested. That's better than cool. Again, that urgency, you know, because really things are moving so fast and things are changing. Every day at the office we have so many good ideas, and then the next day we wake up and somebody's already done half of them. So really, you know, the world moves a lot faster than it did yesterday. You know, it's moving so fast. I feel old when I think about that. Education, really, you guys, well, you're here, so stay here until you graduate. Keeping an open mind, you know, and this I want to actually talk about this and talk about like having jobs. But someone told me right when I started and I thought I was like going to go on tour for the rest of my life that real musicians have day jobs. And that's what he said. And I was like, you're a joker, you know. I was 19 and thought I was on top of the world, but he was right. You know, everybody that I knew at that time that's successful now had a good day job at one point or another for a while to subsidize their music career. And that's really what they're doing, is subsidizing their music career. Because to be successful and not to be here today, make a little money, gone tomorrow, you have to build roots. And you have to build a foundation that's strong, and that comes from you know, just hammering at it and hammering at it and hammering at it and building these strong, really strong houses. You can build a really tall house, but it's not going to be that sturdy. You know, you can build really fast and really tall, but what you want is something really deep and strong. So build your little house out of bricks, not wood.
You know, how do I demonstrate patience, but at the same time actively pursue? And you know, I would say that nobody is offended by the proper, right kind of enthusiastic outreach, okay? I would say you're okay in the music business. It's kind of a normal thing, I think, in business to pursue. But you don't want to bug people. You don't want to be rude to people. You don't want to, you know, overwhelm people in a wrong way. But I think, you know, if there's nothing wrong with being on the pedal to the metal side. You still have patience. Dan's take on answering this was have a lot of options. So you're not just holding on to one thing. Like, when's he gonna call? When's he gonna call? You can call. When to call? You know, have a lot of options going on, and that certainly spreads the fan out. My take on it is you can push, and people expect it, and people are doing it. This question.
As a music supervisor, do you find more people looking for like quirky, out there, kind of more abstract, weird stuff, or more stuff that, you know, I see a lot of calls for like sounds like Soulja Boy or sounds like Kanye West. So which one do you see more of, you think?
As a music supervisor, most of the calls that I get for are really for what the scene calls for. So
Okay.
That's pretty much, you know, the ambiguous way of saying, like, it's really all over the place. You know, yeah, I really don't think, and artists ask me this a lot, and it's, what are people looking for? What are people looking for? And I was like, why? So you can go make what people are looking for? Don't do that. You know, then you're just a dude in a room making stuff that other people want. It's really, today, I'll tell you what I did today. Today I did like a really raunchy, kind of grungy rock dance track for this Sony picture. I did a really frivolous, kind of childish track for a Coca-Cola spot, and I did like some ambient electro stuff for a Crocs online web promo. So it was like, those are like kind of really three polar pieces of music, you know.
Definitely.
And that's pretty kind of a typical day, to be honest, like really across the board. There's a place for everything.
That's very hopeful, isn't it? There's a place for everything. We talked about all of that, all the music that's out there, hitting those things on the streaming radio. There really is a place for everything. Question?
Yes, this one's for you. As a professional songwriter, how do you continually generate ideas for lyrics that aren't repetitive or creating the same song constantly?
Okay, so the question is, where do I find the inspiration to create new songs? So not every song's the same. Okay, my answer would be for me, the inspiration comes from life experiences. I told you I travel a lot. I told you I'm with a lot of young people a lot. I'm with a lot of people a lot, and so a lot of the relationships translate to me to songs, and I'm sort of specialized, I would say. A specialist in writing those kinds of relationship lyrics. All right. I think that it's easy to say, like on a scale, a musical scale, there are 12 notes, and the same question could be asked. You know, I mean, there's only 12 notes. You know, how do you change them up to get? But look at how many different songs and tracks and licks and solos. You know, but there's only 12 notes. So my inspiration from the philosophical standpoint comes from life. From the creative standpoint comes from trends. You know, things that are relevant. Things that are relevant. What the lyrics were 5 years ago are not the lyrics today. What the lyrics 10 years ago are not the lyrics today. So I think it's important to be relevant. Relevant in reading, relevant in communicating with people and seeing experiences. You know, I was really touched today by my friend Fernando, who said to me, I gave him my CD a year ago, and he 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Graduations.
So he came up to me today when he saw me, and gave me this massive, loving bear hug and said, "Man, that song on your CD, the first one, I owe it to you. I must have played it 75 times." I melted, you know. That song was written from my mentor, Lee Burke. And, you know, the boys I was telling you about in Belize, that's one of their singles, you know. So that was a song about, you know, my gratitude. We talked about gratitude, filling the heart of gratitude, my gratitude to my mentor. But you know, when you listen to the track, it could be the guy and the girl and the girl, the guy and the guy, the teacher and the student, the whatever. Some people have thought that it's a very like contemporary Christian song. You know, it's like it's to God or whatever. So, you know, that life experience brought that song to me. You know, so I think that last point of the answer is that it's really important to stay competitive, and being competitive means listening to everybody else. I heard a story, you know, Clive Davis, you know, was listening to whatever was the top 20 every day. That's his first thing. He has his staff make him the top 20, so he knew what was current and relevant. So I really check out a lot of songwriter producer teams, you know. So that helps me to get to my next song. Not have to copy them. I'm my own guy, my own, you know, and I collaborate. All my work is collaborating too. So that helps with the fresh inspiration. I might have a thing, and then the writer-producer partner has the slant on it. You know what I mean? It's a collaboration and being competitive, checking all the teams out, and what other singers are singing, what they're saying. And you know, the bad news is I hear a lot of stuff I don't like. You know, there's a lot that I don't like, but there's much more that I do like. So did that answer? Okay, cool. Another question. Yes.
You know, social networking and music. MySpace is the next MySpace.
And YouTube's quite popular. You know,
Yeah.
I get a lot of YouTube links and a lot of postings with that. I think that people have their sites. I think that people have their dedicated websites, their dedicated identity. You know, there's just a lot of Spotify and Beatport, and you know, there's a lot out there in terms of engines that encompass that social networking and the availability of sharing music and buying music and that sort of thing. We don't know how well we were predicting. But one thing I do know, I know it about Dan and I know it about myself. We attend things like Meetum and PopCon and MusExpo and South by Southwest, and we go and we learn. We listen to all of these people who are in these companies, the CEOs, their workers. They're right there, they're in the hotel lobby, they're doing a panel, and we study as students, just like you, and we invite you to come join us. You know, think about these industry events. We're going to talk a little bit more while I'm here this week with Philippe and Jerry about Meetum. I know that's a program that Columbia was going to. Wouldn't it be great if we could do something special, Columbia networking night in the south of France at Meetum, the largest international music event.
Meetum's going to be bananas this year.
And you know, get a company like Music Dealers to help us host the event and bring the right people around. A company like my own could be just a ball. We'd have an incredible global connection with music. So, you know, how I'd like to say goodbye is I'd like to say thank you. You know, you've been amazing, amazing young leaders in music. We really appreciate you, and I'm here all week, and I hope that this program will be the start of many weeks of involvement with Columbia. And so thank you very much for everything.